Hi guys, so welcome back. Today we'll be studying the chapter percentages. So here are some basics of percentage. So the term person means anything out of 100. Okay. So suppose you have 1 out of 2 parts, then out of 100 we have 50 parts. So person means anything out of 100. So this is 50%. So there are some other basics as well. For example, converting a fraction or a decimal into percentage. So if we have a fraction, we simply multiply it by 100 and we get the percent. Right? I want you to study and go through all the basic fractional equivalents. Suppose 1 by 2 is 50%, 1 by 3 is 33.33%, 1 by 4 is 25%, 1 by 5 is 20%, 1 by 6 is 16.66%, 1 by 7 14.28%, 1 by 8 12.5%, 1 by 9 11.11. Remember 911 or 911? So this is easy. 1 by 10 is 10%. Now, if 1 by 9 is 9.09, 1 by 11 is 9.09. And some more say 1 by 2, 1 by 12 is 8.33, 1 by 13, you don't really need to remember this. Yes, so we all have studied that if I have a value, say x, and I need to increase it by 10%, then the method is I'll add 10% of this value. But what if I again have to increase it by 10%? Then the weird method is this value plus 10% of this value. So it takes a lot of time and we don't have so much of space to solve such questions. So we'll use a new method which is percent increase, percent decrease. Great. So suppose if I need to increase a value by 10%, I simply need to multiply that number by 1 point and I'll mention the percentage value. So to increase the value by 20%, I need to multiply it by 1.2 because 0 plays no value. Similarly, 30% into 1.3, 40% into 1.4, 50% 1.5. Suppose I need 9%. So 9% would be 1.09 because 90% is 1.90. Similarly, 8% would be into 1.08, 2% would be 1.02, 85% would be 1.05. For percent decrease, suppose you have 100 chocolates, you eat 20, now you have 80. Now anything which is full is 100%. If you reduce 20% of the value, you will get 80% of the value. Okay, so to decrease a value, you simply multiply it by 0.100 minus the percent reduction. Suppose in the first case you reduce it by 10%, then you multiply it by 0.100 minus 10 is 90 and you ignore the 0 after 9. If you reduce a value by 20%, you multiply it by 0.80, then again you ignore the 0 part after 8. Similarly for 80%, it's 0.100 minus 80 is 20. For 90% is 0.100 minus 9 is 1. For 9%, 100 minus 9 is 91. So 0.91. Now let us solve this question. So A's salary increases by 10% in the first year and it increases by 20% in the second year. Now we have to find the net percent change. It says it's salary. So there is no constant value mentioned, and instead of taking x or a variable, we take the basic value as 100. So 10% increase would be into 1.10, but we don't mention 0 here. And then again 20% increase would be into 1.2. So the total is 132. Now our value is 32 more than 100. So anything out of 100 is that particular person. So the net increase is 32%. We have a question. A's salary is 25% more than that of B. So B's salary is what percent less than A's? So our basic method is, now the first statement says A's salary is 25% more than that of B. Now my reference is B. Now if B is 100, A is 125. So we have these values 100 and 125. Okay. Now the second statement says B's salary is what percent less than A's? Now 100 is what percent less than A. Now our new reference is A. So we have a formula which says difference upon reference into 100 will give us the percent difference. Now what is the difference here? 25. What is the reference here? 125. So 25 out of 125 into 100. So the answer is 20%. Never mark 25% as your answer because most of you tend to do that. So if A's salary is 25% more than that of B, then B's salary is what percent less than A's? We also have a shortcut for this. So for more, we have numerator upon denominator. For less, we have numerator upon numerator plus denominator. Okay, so this one says 25% more. Now 25%, the fractional equivalent is 1 by 4. If n is 1, here n is 1, now n plus 3 should be 5. What is 1 by 5? 20%. Can you relate now? So the formula is if more is n by d, less is n by n plus t. Now suppose it says that the length of the rectangle is increased by 25%. Then what percent reduction must be done in the breadth to keep the area same? Answer is 20%. So the same values, now the question can be reframed. Suppose the value is increased by 25%. Then what percent reduction must be done in the value to get the original value? It should be again 20%. Suppose the question says a value is increased by 10%. Okay. Now what is 10% in fraction term? It's 1 by 10. Now what should be the less part? 1 by 11. What is 1 by 11? 9.09%. So suppose if the price of sugar in a town goes up by 10%. So price is increased by 10%. What percent reduction must be done in the consumption to keep the expenses same? So in all of these questions, a certain value is always constant. Suppose in length and breadth area is constant. In price and consumption expenditure is constant. So if price of sugar in a town goes up by 10%, now our fractional equivalent. N by D is 1 by 10. Now N by N plus D is 1 by 11. So 1 by 11 is 9.09. So I need to reduce my consumption by 9.09% to keep my expenses same. Remember the formula, percent more or percent less is difference upon percent 200, and the shortcut is if more is N by D, less is N by N plus D. So we also have a shortcut of successive percent methods. Suppose the value is first increased by A% and is then increased by B%. Then the net percent increase is A plus B plus AB by 100. Do you remember the question that we just solved? So if a value is first increased by 10% and is then increased by 20%, what should be the net percent increase? By the basic formula, we solved it as into 1.1 into 1.2, which gave us 132. Now this is 32 more than 100, which means 32%. We can also use the formula, suppose if a value is increased by 10% and then by 20%. So A plus B plus A by 100 would be A is 10 plus 20 plus 10 into 20 upon 100. Now, in this method, we don't need to assume a value, like in this case. So I don't need X, I don't need 100. I can directly take it. So you please do not add this directly. I have seen a lot of students, this is not a addition or subtraction question. It is successive percent increase, because 100 when increased by 10% will become 110. Now 20% of 110 would be 22. So the net increase is 10 and 22, which is 32. Now the next part is, what if a value is first increased by A% and is then decreased by B%? So the formula says A minus B minus A by AB by 100. So suppose a value is increased by 20% and is then decreased by 10%. Can you tell me what would be the percent change? So all a value is first decreased by 10% and is then increased by 20%. So suppose increase is 20%, decrease is 10%. So according to the formula, A minus B minus AB upon 100. So 20 minus 10 is 10, minus 2 is plus 8. So plus denotes increase. So if your answer is plus, this means there is a percent increase. If it's minus, then percent decrease. Now we will also use the same formula when we have questions like a shopkeeper marks all his goods 20% above the cost price and gives a discount of 10%. Now what is the profit or loss percent? So cost price is first increased by 20% and is then decreased by 10%. So the net percent increase in cost price is 8%. This means we have a profit of 8%. Okay, so if you want, you can solve another question. I'll give you 10 seconds to do that. So what if a value is first increased by 20% and is then decreased by 20%? Now, all the competitive exams give such questions as well, because we are willing to say that there is no change, because a value was first increased by 20% and was then decreased by 20%. But if you apply the same formula with this with the new values, then A minus B minus A into B upon 100. Now this cancels out and our answer is minus 4. This means there is a 4% decrease. Okay, so never mark your answer as no profit or no loss or no change. So the similar question and the similar formula can be used in the chapter profit and loss and discount. So Suppose a person sells two articles on the same selling price and you gain 20% on one and lose 20% on the other. Now, what is your net profit or loss? Remember, the selling price is same. You gain X percent on one, so SP is same for two articles. Okay, on one you gain X percent, on the other you lose X percent. Now you will always have a loss. Do you remember? Minus denotes decrease. So loss which will be equal to X squared by 100. So suppose there is a profit of 20% and a loss of 20%. Now what is the answer? Your answer will be 20 square by 100, which is 400 by 100 means 4%. So 4% loss. Now we have another question. The length of a rectangle increases by 30%. The breadth decreases by 10%. Find the net percent change in the area. So the area actually, if you take the values as 100 and 100, because every square is a rectangle, right? Every square fulfills all the or satisfies all the properties of a rectangle. So even if you use a basic method, so 100 into 100 is the basic area. New area would be 130 into 110, and you can see the change. Or you use the formula a minus b minus ab by 100. So the answer would be 30 minus 10, which is 20, minus 300 by 100. So 300 by 100 is 3. So 20 minus 3 is plus 17. So the area will increase by 17%. If you want, I can solve your question. Okay, so 30 minus 10 minus 13 to 10 upon 100, which is plus 17. This means there is 17% change in the area because this is plus, so this means percent increase. So for all the questions based on length and breadth, or say the area of a triangle should be increased or decreased due to the change in the breadth and in the base and the height. So the formula for the area of the triangle is half into base into height. Similarly, for a circle, the formula is pi into r. So whenever you have two such values, two variables, and there is a certain percent change associated, then I think you can use this formula. Even the earlier formula that we have studied, which was a plus b plus ab by 100, it could be used in the percent increase in length and breadth, or the radius or the side of the square. Okay, so next is, if a value is first decreased by a% and is then decreased by b%, find the net percent decrease. You all must have seen some shops saying discount is equal to 50% plus 50%. Now, if a person is giving you a discount of 50% and then again 50%, and if you add both, then a person cannot offer you a product for free, right? So, what is the person actually doing? So, he or she reduces the mark price by 50%. Now, 50% of the value is left. Now, he or she will decrease 50% on the remaining value. Always remember what my current value is. Okay, so suppose there is a question that says discount, say 30%, discount 30% plus 20%. This means a value is first reduced by 30% and then reduced by 20%. If you use this formula, then it will be minus 30 minus 20, which is minus 50, plus 30 into 20 is 600 by 100, which gives us 6. So our answer is minus 44. Now minus means there is a decrease in the overall value by 44%. So the person is actually giving a discount of 44%. I hope you understand this concept. Now, I want you to attempt these two questions, please. I'll give you 30 seconds to do this. Okay, so see, I'm not going to do all the calculations, but what is 66 2 by 3%? Now, 66 2 by 3% or 66.66%. This means 2/3. So the question says a person spends 2/3 of his income. So this is his expense. How much does he save? 1/3. Now, suppose he saves one part out of three and saves two parts out of three. Can I say that the total income was 3? So most of them use the basic formula that he would save a certain percent and that saving is this amount, then they will find the total amount, then they will find the expenses. But do we really need to do that? Please think over again. So now if two parts are expenses, one part is saving, three part is total. Now the question says he is able to save 1200. Now what is my saving? 1200. If one part is 1200, two parts will be 2400. Three parts will be 12 into 3, 3600. What is the last statement? Always read the last statement before answering or marking the question. The question says his monthly expenses are in rupees. So expenses are 2400. So option B is correct. Now the second question says 35% of the students passed. Now whatever the total value is, it is 100%. Now 35% have passed, 65% have failed, right? So the value given is 455. This means 65% of total students have failed and the value is 455. Okay? I hope you can solve it further. This is out of 100. English fail is 45%. Hindi fail is 35%. Failed in both is 20%. Now we can add the grid vertically and horizontally. Now what is 35? What plus 35 is 100? This is 65 plus 35 is 100. What is 100 minus 45? It's 55. So 55 plus 45 is 100. Now what is 45 minus 20? This is 25. So 25 plus 20 gives me 45. Now 65 will also be total of what plus 25? So this will be 40. Now 40 plus 15 is 55 and we can verify it with this. Okay, so please again have a look at this. So I really like this method because I don't like Venn diagrams at all. So A union B and all, I don't follow it. So I wrote total as 100. Now this is my total. The other part said the students who failed in Hindi. Now out of the 35%, there are some students who have passed English exam and there are some students 20% who have failed English. So this 35% who are failed in Hindi include both who have passed, which is 15%, and who have failed, which is 20%. Okay, so just add the grid vertically and horizontally, you will get all the answers. Now the question says find the percentage of the students who passed both the exams. So Hindi pass, English pass. My answer is 40%. More. Remember, if more is in my D, less should be in the N plus D. What is 20%? 1 by 5. What should be less? 1 by 6. What is 6%? 16.66%. Thank you so much. This is first part of my lecture on percentages. I will give you some more questions and we will first revise in the next video and then we'll move ahead. Guys, please study percentage properly because this is the foundation of simple interest, compound interest, profit and loss. Okay, and in case of any query, you can just get back to us. Thank you so much.